Ready to call to order?
You can start anytime.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the May meeting, regular meeting of the Owasso Planning Commission. It's 6 o'clock and we'll call the meeting to order. If we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Vines?
Here.
Mr. Balthrop?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Horton?
Here.
Dr. Loving?
Here. Thank you. Item 3, presentation of character trait of the month.
This month's character trait is alertness, is being aware of what takes place around me so I can respond appropriately.
Stay alert. All right. Item 4, approval of minutes from the March regular meeting. We did not have one in April.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Mr. Balthrop?
Yes.
Dr. Loving?
Yes.
Mr. Vines?
Item 5, annexation 2001.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Before we proceed with that item, I just want to draw the commission's attention to bullet point number 2 regarding that there will be no opportunity for citizen comment during this meeting, and that's to continue to practice the safe health issues and some of the new procedures in place due to the COVID virus. That's, again, the second bullet point on your agenda. So with that, I will move into the first item, which of course is annexation case 20-01. Some key statistics regarding this case. This involves an 8.722 acre site. It's located at 12525 East 116th Street North. The annexation will also include a strip of right-of-way that will stretch to the west, that will connect to the city fire station that was recently completed, and that will ensure connection to the city limits. So the ordinance, when the council adopts that, would include that small strip of right-of-way. The applicant plans to open a skilled nursing facility on this property while maintaining the current home that exists on the front half of the property as an administrative office and resident for that particular person that would manage the facility. The property is presently zoned agricultural residential, and that is in Tulsa County. The land use plan does call this property out for commercial land uses as the preferred highest intensity. The water provider in this area will be Washington County Rural Number 3, and sanitary sewer services would be provided by the city of Owasso. It's an aerial photograph showing the location of this property. You can see it lies, there's a street just to the east of the property that is north 126th East Avenue, and it's bordered on the south with 116th Street North. On the hard corner, a little bit to the east, is the Prairie Village skilled nursing care facility that is over across the street from the Ace Hardware store. This is the Alta survey that was provided to staff, and this, again, is the subject property requesting to be annexed. This slide shows the zoning in the area. It's pretty much surrounded by all agricultural residential in Tulsa County, with the exception, again, when you go further to the east, you run into some commercial zoning as well as the PUD on the hard corner that houses the Prairie Village skilled nursing facility. This is the land use master plan, the subject property outlined there in black. Again, it is called out for commercial land uses. So the proposed the eventual proposed zoning on this case would be for the skilled nursing facility. It would fit in with the land use master plan in this location. TAC did review this item at their April 15th meeting. There were no major concerns that were expressed regarding the annexation. And with that, staff would recommend approval of annexation case OA 2001. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitchin. Were there any questions submitted? Is that open?
No,
Something
sir.
we're considering?
There was not.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
I just had one question, just to confirm, we are doing this annexation as AG, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It would come in as agricultural zoning.
Anything else? Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve and to include the TAC notes.
I'll second.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Vines, Mr. Balthrop,
Yes.
Dr. Loving.
Yes. Item 6, final plat, Parker Village.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. This is for the final plat for Parker Village. This property is 57.54 acres in size, consists of 120 lots on 7 blocks. It is associated with OPUD 17-01A, and that was done under Ordinance 1154. Property is zoned several things. It's actually zoned CS, RM, and RS3, and that was done under Ordinance 1138 in May of 2019. The water provider on the property is split. It actually has 2 providers on this property. One will be the city of Owasso, and on the eastern half will be Washington County Rural Number 3. Sanitary sewer services will be provided by the city of Owasso. The streets will be public in this development. Uses will consist of commercial, transitional, and residential type uses. There will be 2 main access points into this development. One will come in off of Garnett. The other one will come in off 106th Street. Those 2 will join to form a collector street, if you will, that will serve the development internally. There are 3 reserve areas associated with the project, and those will be utilized for detention purposes, recreation. There's an area of protected open space. It's essentially a delineated wetland area, and for general landscaping. It's an aerial photograph showing the location of the property. We've seen this, several times with the PUDs when it came in, and then the amended PUD when that came in. It formerly was called Emory Village, but they changed the name to Parker Village. This is the final plat for Parker Village. Go through a few things here. It's going to consist again of several different types of uses. Multifamily would be up in that area shown. The commercial uses would be focused down in this location adjacent to Garnett. And then your single family uses would be on the eastern side of the property. It is split with 2 water districts. The city of Owasso would serve on the western side of the blue line there. And then on the eastern side would be served by Washington County Rural Number 3's water district. This is one of the reserve areas there depicted in the light blue. That'll be kind of the area that's set aside as really a no disturb type area due to a wetland feature being in that location. And then the large kind of rectangle area, that'll be a location for a detention facility for the development. There are a couple other internal reserve areas, and those will just simply be for landscaping and medians and things like that. And then that will be depicted on another one there, identified as Area C. 2 entrance points, as I mentioned, that will penetrate the development. One comes in off 106th Street, depicted with the red arrow, excuse me. And then one off of Garnett, located the other red arrow. There's your collector street system. There will be another access point that will serve as a right-in, right-out. And that will also be the entrance into the multifamily facility located in that area depicted. And that is over 200 feet from center line to center line from the collector street to where that center line would be for the right in, right out driveway that would come into the apartment or the multifamily area. This was reviewed at TAC on April 15th. Comments, of course, were attached in your packets. Staff would recommend approval of the final plat for Parker Village, subject to TAC comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any questions submitted? Marcia?
No, sir.
Thank you.
I just wanted to verify quickly, because it's too small and I'm too old to see it, that we do have the correct plat in with the 80 feet of limits of access on the north side.
Yes, that was double checked. So a copy of that was sent back out to ensure that you did have the correct copy. It is 80 foot of limits of access.
Anybody else have anything? Tim? Look like you do.
Well, I just had, yeah. I just don't, I just feel like the Garnett access, there's just too many accesses right there between the, right, because the skate range is there,
Tim.
right?
Tim.
And then it goes into the intersection
Tim,
right there at 96th Street. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Commissioner Miller, there was a motion on the floor that needs to be addressed, I think, before we go further.
Okay. Well, I just want to make that comment because it concerns me that there's.
I don't know that
Can
we,
we-
Can you
did we
hear
have
me?
a motion? I don't recall the motion.
No.
Yeah, Commissioner Vines made a motion.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
I did
Oh,
not.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I didn't. We can't. We don't hear him very well.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't. So, okay. Well, I'll second the motion of David.
Mr. Vines?
Yes.
Mr. Balthrop?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Dr. Loving?
Yes. Item 7, final plat, Brighton Park Phase 1.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Members of the commission, this is the final plat for Brighton Park Phase 1. This is a 3.43 acre site. It consists of 8 lots on 2 blocks. The property is zoned OPUD 14-01, and that was done under Ordinance 1032. The water provider is the City of Owasso. Sanitary sewer provider is the City of Owasso. And the use on the property will be single-family residential. This is a aerial photograph depicting the location of the subject property. I don't know if you can tell on your screens, but this black outlined area was actually the entire area of OPUD 14-01. Some of you may recall that PUD that came through 4 or 5 years ago. This particular plat essentially will validate that PUD. So they're only platting a portion of this PUD, and that is the kind of the eastern portion on the east side of the creek that runs kind of through the southeast portion of the original PUD property. This is the final plat for Brighton Park Phase 1. A little difficult to see, but it basically consists of one road that would terminate at the western boundary here of the property. There's a small little cul-de-sac here that would serve several lots in this location, and a couple lots along the road. Here, this street does align with the road across the street that goes into Metro Heights, and that's 100, I believe 109th. TAC reviewed this item at their April 15th meeting. The comments, of course, were attached with your packet. And staff would recommend approval of the final plat for Brighton Park Phase 1, subject to TAC comments. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the virtual audience?
No questions.
Marshall? Okay, thank you. What's the expiration on this PUD? What did I ask?
Yeah, the expiration, Commissioner Wood, is actually at the end of this month.
If there's no more discussion, we'd entertain a motion. If there's no more discussion,
I move to approve subject to TAC.
I'll second.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Mr. Vines? Mr. Balthrop?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Loving?
yes.
And
Item
just
8.
so you know, I'm still not hearing Vines when he speaks.
Don't complain.
Can you hear me now?
You thought that wasn't. I hope that wasn't Vines.
I hope not. Did he pass away up there or what?
Item 8, Unified Sign Plan, Garrett Creek Phase 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This is a unified sign plan amendment for Garrett Creek Phase 2. This property currently has an approved unified sign plan on it. That was done back in 2018. The zoning on the property is CS, commercial shopping, and that's under PUD 02-02. The request is for 2 pylon signs, 30 feet in height each, and then 4 8-foot tall monument signs on 6 frontage lots. Now, the original unified sign plan had 5 monument signs, 10 feet in height on 7 parcels fronting north 135th, and 1 40-foot pylon sign. There was a clinic that was built on lot 2 with an 18-foot tall sign rather than the 8-foot sign as the unified sign plan allowed. So essentially what that did is it invalidated the unified sign plan that was approved back in 2018. And just a little bit of comment on that. Basically what had happened at that time was we had several things that came in at once. There was a timing of several applications being reviewed close together. You had a plat that came in. If you recall, we replatted that property. And then, if I recall, there was also a site plan that came in for the Utica Park Clinic. Those all came in within about 6 weeks of each other. So due to basically all that coming in at close to the same time, the sign that got placed on the Utica Park Clinic essentially got missed. So they got an 18-foot sign where they should have had an 8-foot sign. So that's kind of what happened there, a little bit of the history on that particular tract. The unified sign plan, if approved, will replace the existing unified sign plan and govern all future signage on this property. This is the location of the property. You've seen this before, but the last sign plan. This is the current unified sign plan. A little bit tough to see, but they had a pylon sign was going to be located right down in this location. That was going to be the 40-foot sign at this entrance down here that would have penetrated the development at this location. There was going to be another entrance in this location as well, but they did not choose to have the pylon sign in that location at that time. This is the revision or the proposed unified sign plan. So basically it eliminates this where you see the red X. That's where the monument sign should have been called out for the Utica Park Clinic, but instead they put the 18-foot sign in that location. So this proposed unified sign plan will basically eliminate that one. They will also take this 40-foot pylon sign. That will be replaced with a proposed 30-foot pylon sign. And then another 30-foot pylon sign would be located in this general location here where I'm showing with the green mark. All these other signs here would be monument-style signs that would be on those frontage lots. Those would be limited in height to 8 feet. The previous unified sign plan allowed those monument signs to be 10 feet. So you're getting a little bit of reduction in height for the monument signs. So in summary, the current unified sign plan has basically already been invalidated. The ratio of monument signs to the number of lots stays the same. And the monument signs, as I mentioned, would be 2 foot shorter in height than the original unified sign plan. There's no change in the square footage of those monument signs at 70 square foot each. That stays the same. One additional pylon sign would be introduced, but the heights would come down from 40 to 30 feet. And the distance between those two pylon signs will be 673 feet. So the request is for 2 pylon signs at 30 feet in height each and 4 8-foot tall monument signs for the 6 frontage lots. There would be no change in the style or design that was proposed previously, and the amended unified sign plan would still provide a level of predictability and design consistency with this development. These are just some images that has been provided by the applicant depicting what the monument signs would look like, and then the pylon sign here on your right. So with that, staff would recommend approval of this unified sign package 20-01A with the following conditions: that the maximum allowed signage within this development under the unified sign plan, excluding wall signs and wayfinding signs, is 4 monument signs and 2 multi-tenant pylon signs as indicated in the attached comprehensive sign plan document. The allowed maximum height of the monument signs is 8 feet. The allowed maximum height of the multi-tenant pylon signs is 30 feet. No other signs will be allowed in the development other than wall signs and wayfinding signs. All signs must be placed on landscape bed. All sign and landscaping shall be located outside of the site triangles. All signs must be set 10 feet from the property lines. And the final locations of the proposed signs shall be approved with the site plans as they are submitted for individual lots within this development. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
So if we had known that this total development was going to look like it does, let's just say we have that hindsight, is this the way we would have done the signs? Is this the way we would have done it if there hadn't been all these changes in the development?
Well, I think the developer from early on didn't know exactly how all this property was going to set up. I think he's got a better idea now. And quite frankly, I think that the pylon signs, which will serve essentially as multi-tenant signs, are going to, for this type of development, when you have the strip shopping in behind out parcels, that'll typically be restaurants or like an AutoZone or something like that, they typically work pretty well. And they at least allow that tenant in behind those properties to get some visibility along the highway. What the city's getting out of it is at least some design consistency, uniformity, rather than several pole signs that would clutter up the entire frontage, and those would be up to the individual designs of those individual properties.
Mr. Vine speaking, is that what I'm hearing?
Actually, the council does not approve unified sign plans. Yes.
Say that again, Carl. What was that?
The city council does not take action on unified sign plans.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then the only time the sign permit is just a staff internal deal. It's not looked at by anybody else. So my question is, this was a mistake that was made, an honest mistake by staff. What procedures do you have in place to where this does not happen again?
That's a good question.
Well, now that we know, it kind of got lost, and they thought that it was a separate along, because we had 2 things going on there, because we approved those Brahms separately, and it just got convoluted right there with all of everything going on at once. It shouldn't have happened anyways, regardless, but it did. And we look at it now. We just have another set of eyes that we put on the sign permits when we get them.
So going
Yeah,
kind of back to
we're
my
just
question,
adding another review process to it.
Well, and I think to comment a little further, we have a new GIS tech in the city right now, and she has done a great job of getting some stuff uploaded on our GIS system. I think this is something that could be included as a hyperlink. We already have our plats set up as a hyperlink. They're not public yet. They soon will be. And this is just another layer that could be added. Simply click on it, and it'll alert you if there was action on this property related to a unified sign plan or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and you can just understand how it would look like if you do the wrong thing, you benefit and you get to keep it and get what you want. And it just could have that appearance. So we just don't want to get that appearance.
which kind of goes back to my question. If this all came in as one thing and we did know what it was going to be, is this the way the signage would be approved? Would this signage we're approving for it now, would we have approved it if we'd have known that was all going to look from the start?
Right.
I'm sorry. I would assume if this was the original proposal that came forward, we would have probably been fine with this also. I can't speak for Bronx as he's not here, but I would have been fine with this.
Okay, so this finished product would have been okay from the very beginning. If we'd have known how the whole development was going to look, we would have gone. This sign plan conforms.
Correct.
So did I hear correctly? They want 2 30-foot tall signs on the property. Does that make sense to you guys for the size of the property?
It does. Without the unified sign plan, all of those properties with frontage could have 25-foot signs on them. And
Okay.
So with the unified sign plan, we're given the smaller monument signs for the 2 larger signs, and it's just kind of a give and take for these larger retail centers where we don't have a lot of pole signs just lined right together.
So this gives us a little bit more control then.
Correct.
Okay. So who's in charge of inspecting those properties when they start to put those signs in?
That will be Carl and myself.
Okay. All right.
Any other comments or?
No comments.
Sorry?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Need a motion?
Motion?
I make a motion to approve, subject to TAC.
I'll second.
Mr. Vines? Mr. Vines?
Yes.
Dr. Loving?
Yes.
Mr. Balthrop?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 9, community development report.
Thank you. I'll just, with my director's update, my Alexa will probably be starting in the next 2 weeks, full time. If everything goes to plan, she's getting moved to her new location in Tulsa and should be here within the next week or 2. So looking forward to that. And then for my monthly building permit, we had, in March, we had 12 new single family, and in April we had 8. We're ahead of where we were this time last year by about 8 new residential permits. So we'll be happy with that for right now. And then we had 6 of those were in the new Abbott Farms too. That helped us. They were waiting to do some model homes in there. And that would conclude my report, sir.
Has the situation made any sort of what kind of impact has with all the world happenings has it had on your office directly?
Actually, if I heard you correctly, you're just wanting to know about the times right now and how things are going. Construction-wise, things are still moving along. The state still requires us to do inspections, and the construction world is continued. Not really. It hasn't slowed down a whole lot from where we were, so we haven't noticed a big change on the residential side. The commercial side, a little bit, yes, we have.
All righty. Item 10, report from the TAC meeting. Have we anything to add to that? Let's see some things we haven't covered there. Want to go over that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The easement closure is for the come and go on 76th Street. They are just cleaning up that property still so they can tear that down and rebuild. The PUD is for the assisted living center that we just annexed. They will be bringing that on June 8th to the June 8th Planning Commission meeting. And so we'll be getting to look at the design of it a little more. And that was and the rest of the items we carried forward tonight. And that's my report on TAC. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Nothing?
Good.
Speak now. Any reports from the commissioners? Item 11. Going once.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Never wrong.
That's the truth.
Item 12. Is there anything that couldn't have been foretold within the last 24 hours that we should bring up at this point on the agenda? Almost always a no. No. Going twice. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion,
So
we
moved.
adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Horton's a second.
Yes.
Dr. Loving?
Lost Marcia. Oh,
Mr. Balthrop? Sorry.
It's all right.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Is that it? We over?